And we're live. Welcome to Front Row Seat, where it's all about you because you're doing it. I have a very, very special guest today. She's one of my favorites. Her name is Caroline Lucesco. It's a difficult name for me to say. It's different. Lucesco. I met Caroline 4 years ago at one of Tom Campbell's immersives. It was just love at first sight. And she is a creative artist. She is a consciousness explorer. And she is a team building coach for her company. And I would just like to say, welcome, Caroline. Welcome to Front Row Seat.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, this is what I have to say to the audience is there's a reason for all of this is because when Caroline and I first met, it was an instant kinship. It was love at first sight. We really didn't understand what was happening. And what we found as we started talking to each other is that we are both creative artists. And so we are both very creative, right-brain people. We're a little bit out there on the edges. You know, we don't really fit in with, mainstream. And so we just had an instant kinship because, we think in different ways. Our perspective is a little bit different. We're open to new ideas, and we have lots of new ideas come in all the time. We're very imaginative. And what I found with Caroline is that she has a wonderful sense of play. And because of that, the work we do here, it can get, as we're in here in this world, and life gets, it can have struggle in it. But if we add back in the play and the laughter, it makes it all worth it. And we can do this. And it makes life can become wonderful when you add the play and the fun back in, because it gets funny. Doesn't it, Caroline?
Yeah, definitely. People are so stressed out all the time, and they forget how it is to relax and how to just be playful and learn to be like a child again, like authentic, curious, and also impulsive, not like second guess everything you want to do, but just be excited and just go for it. And if it doesn't cause any harm, of course, if you're going to trigger a lot of people, it's not a good idea. But if it's in a safe environment and you can just have fun and make other people laugh or inspire other people, then yeah, why not? Why not do it? And it's so nice because I think you've been teaching me to be even more playful, like I've been allowing myself to be even more free and more me, more authentically me, because you allow yourself to be authentically free. So that inspired me a lot too.
Oh, well, you had all the makings of it. You're a creative artist, and you already had all of those components there. And at those immersives, we were on vacation, so it would pop out anyway. And so it was already there. and I've been doing this a lot longer than you, of course. And so I just thought that, it's lovely to be your authentic self. And, when we do this and we play, what happens is it eases our stress, and it helps us relax and just be able to take in information and not be so stressed out about everything. And so I was thinking about what you said, when we feel an impulse to do something that's just not right in that category, and well, I can't do that because it's not normal, but well, it's like Nike, just do it. Just do it, because spontaneity is where other things can come in, and it will turn into a hilarious circuit scene. And sometimes when you're on your off time, and you just do it, and that's where the creative juices get flowing, doesn't it? Because once you start creating in this blissful, bubbly state, you can create whatever reality you want to here, right?
Yeah, it's true. And I do think a lot of people are afraid to be impulsive because they're afraid of the consequences. But if you pair impulsiveness with accountability, then nothing can go wrong, because even if you're impulsive and it might not turn out a good way, you can still take responsibility from it and learn from it, and then do it better next time. But that shouldn't stop you, right? Because as long as you stay accountable, people will like you and people will start to trust you, because they know that they can give you feedback and you'll actually take it and be more loving, towards them, because you know how, right?
Right.
So,
And fun and joy is an act of love, isn't it?
that is very, very true. It's like, just think about children, right? Like how you relate to children. They want to have fun, and you want to allow them to have fun. You want to make sure they're having fun. You want to make sure they're curious and exploring the world and themselves. So you want to support that. And I don't think we change as much as adults. We still want to explore. We're still curious, and we still want to learn. And we still want to have fun. It's important. Like, we want to have a good community around us. We want to play games. We want to have those really valuable interaction. We want to have a good, exciting love life, or nice trips we go on, or a purposeful life we're living. And it's all about playing and having fun with it, and not being afraid to lose.
And not being afraid to lose, or if something, comes from that spontaneity, I've found that a lot of good things come, and every now and then it glitches out, but that's just life. And then you learn from that glitch, and then you can move on forward from there and learn from it. Because I think that the reality that we're in right now, it's just a big giant school we're here to learn in, and you can't really get it wrong. Because even if you do, I think we should make mistakes great again, because of mistakes, that whole thing, I think that mistakes really are hiding as opportunities to learn something, instead of what, the negative connotation on it. I think this is a big school we're supposed to be learning in anyway. So get your hat out and put it on, just get after it. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. Like, I've made so many mistakes. I'm making mistakes every day, and sometimes it can get frustrating, because it's a lot of mistakes, like adding up. But like, looking back at myself, like, I don't regret anything, because it's made me who I am. It's made me, like, it provided those opportunities for me to learn and grow. And also now I can have a lot of empathy for other people, what other people go through, because we are all very similar. We go through similar things. It's like we have this one gigantic mind that's full of fear, right? So we can all relate to each other. We are not all that different. And those mistakes that I made really made me understand people better, and also help them better now.
Right. And when we interact with other people every day, we don't realize that they're all in a struggle too. And, we all struggle. I'm going to change this word, it's the word we've always used is, fear. We've always used that word, but that the word itself is kind of triggery now. Let's change it to the dark uglies. I love that. And I'm just going with it. All right. So we all deal with these dark uglies. They're in there. And so let's go ahead and let's talk about this. We all deal with, these things, and in that dealing with the dark uglies that we all have, those are the things that we learn from. And when we have those feelings of negativity, it's never out there. It's always in here. The problem is never out in the physical world. It's always within your consciousness. And if you go within, as soon as you have a little bit of that negative feeling, and then try to figure out, where am I feeling this fear at? Why am I feeling the way that I do? Because I promise you, it's not that other person doing anything to you. They just hit something that resonates with that negative, thing, that either you feel negative about yourself, you're not loving yourself, or you're not thinking good thoughts about yourself, because what we think about ourselves has a lot to do with the reality that we create here.
Yeah, definitely. And we do have to be willing to embrace those dark parts about ourselves. We have to be willing to get in there, feel the pain, and really approach it with a lot of love and curiosity, like we would with our children. Like, if we have children, we also don't blame them or make them upset, at least if we're healthy parents. we approach it with a lot of compassion, because that child doesn't know better, right? It's just genuinely afraid. It's innocent. It just came here. It just got dropped here, and now it has to deal with all of the human stuff. And it's tough. It can be tough sometimes. Sometimes it's like an extreme sport, right? It's like you have to survive, and it's challenging. And that way we also have to be with ourselves, right? When we notice that, oh, there's something coming up, like we're afraid, we're stressed, we're annoyed, or whatever negativity it is, like we have to be willing to feel it, let it in, accept it, and learn from it. Like, where does it come from? Have compassion and see through the story we tell ourselves about it, because that's creating the pain, right? And it's been so nice to spend so much time with you, because I was afraid first to do that. I couldn't do it. All my faults were outside. It was everybody else's fault. My boyfriend, my mother, my boss, my gender, whatever, everything was on the outside. And when I saw you doing the work and really looking for the reasons and the fears within you, it did motivate me, and it did inspire me to go there too. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. I think that's one of the most amazing gifts that I've ever gotten in my life, to witness you growing up.
Oh, see, I met Caroline at the immersives, and I was working, and I was doing the inner work, and I was going in to find where the problem was, instead of pointing out there at everybody else where the problem didn't exist. It was within me. And Caroline, was 24 at the time, which is an extremely young age to be a consciousness explorer. And she was learning about the concept of what the Tom Campbell talks about, how fear is the problem and love is the answer. But at these immersives, things would just happen that would just trigger your problem that you had. It would just turn out in the perfect way to pull that up so you could see it. And I would feel my dark uglies coming up. And there were times where I was just in the room, curled up in a ball, going, oh my goodness, this is mine. It's not out there. It's in here. And so I just let myself feel it. So I have to tell you this, and when I met Caroline, that was when I was going through one of the biggest pieces of it. And the thing about it is, because Caroline was there, see, we ended up helping each other. This is how consciousness, how we grow each other, and we help each other grow. Caroline was going to do the work, but she was just still gathering information. I was in the middle of doing the work. So with Caroline's bright, bubbly, creative, I'm sitting there, I can't function, I'm crying, I'm a terrible mess. And then here Caroline would come through. She would have a big bottle of bubbles, and she would be blowing bubbles all in the middle of all these people who are trying to act normal. Everybody's trying to act normal. And here comes Caroline. It's just bubbles. I don't know what's going on here. There's nothing wrong. And she was just, because she was there and she was being authentic and she was being happy and feeling joy, that helped me while I was doing this dark inner work. And it was so painful. And so it was like she was coming in there and just putting salve on the wounds. It's like, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it. So you helped me every bit as much as I helped you. And then when you were getting ready to do your work the last couple of years, I remember when you first started doing the work and you called me and she goes, oh my God. And I told her, I said, Caroline, you're going to get through it. It's going to get rough for just a few months, but you're going to do it. And I know you are. And you did a lot of work this last year. And as I saw you start climbing out of that hole that we all have to climb out of, and I saw you making headway, I was just out there rooting, cheering you on. Go, 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 wasn't I?
You were, for sure. And that's, I think, the biggest lesson I've learned through all this process is that it's really okay to ask for help, and it's really okay to create your support system. And because when I've been starting out, I was lost, I went into victim mode. And I felt so bad. I couldn't get out of it, right? It was like it was like a vicious cycle. It was like a roller coaster ride, like from ups and downs, from being super bubbly and funny and making life as fun as I can, and from like really falling down on my in Germany we say on my face, like we're when
We
you
call it face planting. You were face planting.
I was face planting a lot, and it was so valuable that I could call you, right, and have you as a support system. And then with time I created like a support system around me with other people, with people online, and I took different classes and talked to different people about things. But really important was that I stay vulnerable and open, and that, like you say, I don't act normal. I don't want to be acting. I don't want to be acting like I'm all okay and everything is all fine and my life is perfect and all just bubbles and dancing and carnival, but because it's not, right? I have insecurities and fears that I have to work through, and sometimes it's really challenging, and it's really good to talk about this. So yeah, the biggest lesson I've learned was to be open, vulnerable, ask for help, be humble with it, and really keep going with it.
And those people around you, see, because we are not an island, we are all consciousness, the same consciousness, looking at this from all different perspectives. We have assistance, but we have to be able to ask for help. And you've got to find that group of people around you, because they're there. You know, they're there. As soon as you start crying, it's the one that comes up and puts their arm around your back and pats you. They're there. And what you do is you get those people, because those people, they can hold space for you. They can't fix it. They can't pull that fear out of you, because you've got to pull it out. You got to grab that monster by the tail and rip it out by the roots. You've got to go in there and do it. But as you're doing that, you can have that support person, and you can call them, just like, you know, I did with you and you did with me when I was doing my work. But when someone else can hold that space for you, then you can just let go of everything else going on and focus on getting to that thing within you that's causing you to feel like that. And so what we have found in this process is and so get your support persons, get them in there, ask for help. Nobody's an island here. It's like Caroline just said. What is it? What kind of sport is it? It's
an extreme sport.
This is an extreme sport we're doing here, y'all. This isn't like, ha ha ha, yeah. We are working here, and we work here. We're consciousness. We're evolving. This is the evolving of consciousness. We're the players in here that cause consciousness to evolve. When we evolve, the whole thing evolves. So it's a big deal. So when you get your support person in there, they hold space for you so that you can work through these things. And what we have found, that these dark uglies, they constellate around a few certain things, because we are powerful beings here. We are creator beings. We are the created creators, and that's what we do here. And because we're so powerful, when we think negative towards ourselves, it blows us up and it feels terrible. You know, we got to step in those powerful shoes that we have. And these dark uglies constellate around not feeling good enough, feeling like you're not worthy, you know, and feeling like you don't belong and you don't fit in, you know. But you don't want to, we don't need to fit in. We need to stand out. You want to be standing out there on that edge of creating and create the world and life that you want to see. You don't want to be back there fitting in, because if you're not out there on that edge, you're just taking up way too much space. Right?
Yeah, right. And I think that's still a topic that I'm struggling with in my life too. It's like this desire to fit in, right? And I always find out in the end that I probably won't ever fit in the way I would expect to fit in. In some ways, we are all one, right? And we are very similar, and we have the same things we're dealing with. But on the other hand, it's like culture is a weird thing, and culture is holding us back, or influencing us in some dysfunctional ways, and we have to be able to work through that and then be courageous enough to go our own path, because we want to approach our lives with a positive attitude. We want to love unconditionally, we want to grow up, and we want to be multidimensional and really give to people, help people. And we can only do that if we see through the dysfunctions of our culture and really take responsibility and question, question the things people tell us, questions the thought that we have. And where do our thoughts come from, right? It's our culture, it's our upbringing, it's the people around us, it's the information we get. So we do really have to be careful and really stop for a second, slow down, and question those thoughts. Is it really true what I'm thinking? Is it really true what I'm believing? Or is how they approaching this, is this the correct way? Does it match up with my reference of unconditional love, or does it not?
Well, unconditional love, love is something that you give to others. And what I have found, is that when you've got more of these dark uglies in you, it lowers your capacity to love others. You don't have any love to give anybody. You can't give unconditional love, because with these dark uglies in there, that's what you're giving people. You're giving them your dark uglies. And you're to me, it's like a bucket. You're walking around and you're sloshing your dark uglies all over everybody. And they don't want it. They're in their own struggle. They don't need your dark uglies, because they're dealing with them themselves, because we all have this. So as you're sloshing your bucket on everybody, and then you look over and you've just poured your dark ugly there, and then we blame the person that we just spilled the dark uglies on. Look at the dark ugly you just did. No, I did it, and I spilled it on them, So what I have found as I've been working through these fears, I've been doing it 6 years now, one after another. Come on, I'm getting rid of you. You're leaving. I'm pulling you out by the tail, you little dragon. You're nothing but a paper tiger, and I can tear you up, because it's really not real. It's just something in my mind, a belief that I hold, something, I'm not good enough. So then when something happens that is a little embarrassing or whatever, then I blame the other person. Like, well, you embarrassed me. It's like, no, they didn't embarrass you. Because if I felt worthy and standing in my own power, I would be laughing, because it would be funny, and when when we're not in that right place, then we're not giving love. We can't give unconditional love to anybody. So as these dark uglies are going down, my capacity to love others and be empathetic towards others that are trying to work through this stuff, I can now hold space for them and love them unconditionally, even though they have these dark uglies. It doesn't make them a bad person. I want to feel compassion and love towards them, because they're struggling. And when they're struggling, they're in pain. They're hurting. They're hurting really bad inside. So when people aren't acting right, they don't want to act like that. They're suffering. So I don't want to throw a rock at them. You better act right. I want to go over there and say, is there anything I can do for you? Do you need a hug? Or, is there something I can do that'll help you? But before I did this work, I couldn't do anything for anybody else. And it was all about me. I want this. I need this. I need you to act this way so that I can feel okay. That's ridiculous. It was my fears that were causing all of these problems. My dark uglies. My dark uglies were causing so I was creating my own negative experience out of those dark uglies. And so, I had to get rid of some of that. And Carolyn and I had some very familiar fear around this space of, we are both very creative artists, which we are intuitive, we're imaginative, and we're empathic. So we had this very right brain perspective. Well, our world, this most, I would say what, 2/3, or there's a lot more left brain intellectual people than there are right, like Caroline and I, right brains. And so, there's me and Caroline comparing ourselves to other people, and we're going, I'm not like that. I'm nothing like that. And they're doing things that I couldn't do and what Caroline couldn't do. So we had these feelings that we weren't good enough because we couldn't do what a left brain person can do, because they're good at computers. They're good at a lot of these things that Caroline weren't very good at. You want to talk about your experiences of being a right brain in a left brain world and how you're processing through that and getting better?
Yeah, sure. I think it was a very challenging thing for me when I was younger. Like when I was a little child, it was still tolerated until I got into school. And then I did realize I'm more of a dreamer. I've been like, I went out of body a lot. I was just drifting away. I had my imaginary friends. And yeah, it was quite different. And that then it started to get really difficult. I got bullied a lot, also by my teachers, and didn't never fully understand. And then as it progressed, as I progressed getting older, I tried to act more, and I tried to fit in, and I tried to do what other people do. And obviously it was very dysfunctional, and I couldn't keep it up for long. And it was also obvious to other people, right?
It's like you're not fooling anybody. You can't fool them. They know because they can feel your vibration.
I'm not fooling anybody. But I discovered very early that I was very courageous with certain things when it came to having fun or kind of putting myself out there or doing something crazy or funny or being funny. I did realize that I have the courage to do that. And I did use that also. Like it is somehow it's authentic because I am playful, but also sometimes it was my hiding space, a little bit like a mask, like a thing that, yeah, I'm this crazy girl, right? And I'm this fun party girl, and I would skip school and go out and to other countries, travel to other countries, see other parties, be with other people. And it was a challenging time for me because on the outside it seemed like, okay, yeah, like I'm so happy and I'm doing all of this crazy stuff and I'm having this vibrant life, but I was suffering. I was suffering a lot of the time and I didn't know what to do. So also this right brainy thing was a bit of like a hiding space. And I do think that still some people do get a little bit upset because I'm still not super accountable. Like there's things that I will dismiss, but I don't really mean it in a bad way. It's just that my attention span is not really that big. And I'm really trying. Like I have good intentions to be accountable and be there with people and really get them. And I've like with meditation and growing up more, I do realize that my choices have an impact on other people. And I want the people around me that I'm in touch with, I want them to feel good. So I want to be accountable and I want to be present with them. I don't want to just drift away, because drifting away is also like a coping mechanism, right? It's like when you're as a child, when there's stress going on and you can't run away, right? It's not like you can just leave, like you'll die or you're scared, you're just too little. So it's a coping mechanism of children to tune out and drift away into another reality to escape. And that's why a lot of mediums and healers are good at this, because they had a quite traumatic childhood and they just wanted to zone out, right? And I do think it's similar with me. I'm just zoning out because I can't cope with the stress that I'm dealing with, or I'm insecurities coming up. And so I don't mean it in a bad way, or don't want to influence anybody in a bad way, but it's really about me just taking responsibility for me and making sure that my choices have a good impact on people, because I'll only be happy and content if the people around me are happy and content. with what I do. Because if I jump around life and say, okay, yeah, I'm traveling everywhere, I'm doing whatever I want, but I'm keep on hurting people, then that's obviously dysfunctional.
Oh, that was very beautifully said, Caroline. And, I think for right brain intuitive, yeah, a lot of intuitives did come from a traumatic childhood, and that it really opened up that intuition within them, because you had to learn how to go into your imagination so that you could cope with what was going on around you. Because as a child, you can't run away. You're there, and you're doing it. And, I think with that also comes, you are living in the present moment as a right brain intuitive. You're always in the present moment. And we're not thinking, and see, I do the same thing. And, as we're living in the moment, well, we're not thinking about what this is going to cause down the road, you've moved somebody's something, and then now they can't find it. And now you've moved, and now they can't do what they need to do. So as with age, we have to get really aware of what we're doing when we're around other people, so that we don't glitch their flow out, because we're just so in the moment. We're not thinking about all the details, because that's the way a lot of people are. They're more detail oriented, and they know where their keys are. Caroline and I, it was so funny, trying to get this video going. You should have seen it. I'm trying to, the speaker's not working, and it was just glitching all over the place. And we were just laughing because we're so used to it, because we don't have that detail oriented mind. We get a lot of glitches here and there. We get a lot of glitches because we're not thinking about all those details that you need to think about. And so we had to start the podcast 4 times. We had to go out, come back in, but I knew we were going to get it done. We've gotten used to focusing, and this is going to work eventually as soon as I can get out of my own way. And so it's just a lot of extra stuff that we have to do. And I think that that's very, very important for, intuitives like us, is that we consider other people around us. And for your very young age, for you to be aware, and that you're causing harm around you when you don't consider others. I think you're just way ahead of the game. You're going to go so far in life, and you're already so far ahead of the game. I'm so very proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, there's also gifts to it, right? Like you say, we are intuitive, and we have this ability to know things that are impossible to know for very analytical people, because they don't have that connection to that intuitive side. So there's a gift to it. And also, I do appreciate the lesson of learning from each other, right? It's like we also had some left brain support in getting up the podcast, right? We had somebody coming and fixing it, and it's really nice to co-create. Like, we're here together, and there's a lot of right brain people, there's a lot of analytical people, and if we work together, there's no problem, right? We can just support each other if we have empathy for each other. And I had to learn this the hard way, because my partner was very analytical and left-brained, and we were like two opposites, right? But it was such a challenge. It was so difficult because we didn't have the empathy for each other. We completely misunderstood and misinterpreted our behavior because of our own fear, right? We were afraid not being good enough or not being respected enough. But in fact, we were just very different, and the things that we valued are different, and the way we approach life and the way we see reality is very different. And the more I shifted my attitude into like not being this victim of this relationship, but more like having this amazing teacher next to me that I can learn from, because he's so different and has all the skills that I don't have, right? As soon as I started approaching it that way, everything shifted for me. I really learned how to appreciate the left brain people, and really appreciated the help of the people around me that are just better in those things. And if we have a lot of appreciation and empathy for them, they'll be willing to learn from us too, because we'll inspire them to be warm and to be open and to be fun, and it can go together, right? And if it does, if you can really have that match, it's wonderful, right? It's like you found your missing puzzle piece, because we'll never arrive at one point where we're just good at everything. It's always good to just strive for balance, but we are limited beings and we have a limited time frame. So it's just the best idea to co-create like you do and your partner. It was very inspiring to see you both interacting together.
Yes, and I went through that same thing where I was working against the left brain, because of course they could do everything I couldn't, and I was beating myself up. Well, if you just get it together, Cheryl. But I was a right brain. I'm not ever going to get it together. I'm going to always be who I am. I can't be everything. I'm going to be the way I am. I'll change a little bit more before I go from this life packet, whatever I'm doing here. But when you come to get rid of some of those dark ugly, I got rid of some of that. And then I was able to have empathy for my partner and feel that connection. Then we started working together. But before, we were throwing rocks at each other because we couldn't communicate very well. Because like Caroline said, we were polar opposites. The things that I liked and everything, he had no interest in. And he told me one time, I have no idea how you do what you're doing. I have no idea. I don't know what you're doing. He goes, but when you finish and I see what you create, I see some lovely things there. So see, he learned to appreciate what I can create, even though there's it's things swirling around in his world. He's going, what is happening here? And as we learn to love and appreciate each other, our relationship changed, and it became a relationship of empathy, and we were able to stay together. It was really funny. I think it may have been the immersive we did together at Tom Campbell's, but my partner today, we've been together 11 years. He had sent me a text and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. I said, my boyfriend just broke up with me at the immersive. So I got to look at what, so I went and asked Tom Campbell about this right brain, left brain, relationships. And then he just explained it to me. And then that's when I realized it was my fear, and I wasn't appreciating him for what he could do. But he wasn't appreciating me for what I could do. So Tom gives me the information I need. I come home and I said, look, I'm sorry. Here's this information. I'm so sorry. This has been hard. I agree. But let's try this instead. And I came to him in a loving space instead of coming at him and throwing a rock at his forehead. I quit doing all that. And I just started loving and appreciating him for who he is, and stopped trying to get him to be somebody else. I don't want him to be like me, because my God, it's a lot of fun being a right brain. But if you've got too many right brains together, nothing gets done, because they're just having a lot of fun all day. Right, Caroline?
Definitely. And the more I learn and the more I grow, I do become to realize that also the relationship that I have with myself reflects with the relationship with my partner, right? So if I am not happy with myself, if I don't like myself, then I will project that upon my partner, and that will cause a lot of drama, and that will be causing the throwing rocks and the suffer, right? So for me, it was a very valuable lesson to really go into this deep healing, heal those wounds, travel back into the childhood, look at what happened, have empathy, have patience, and really just step by step learn more about myself and the impact I have on me and other people, the way I self-sabotage. And then I get more and more positive feedback from the outside. I will reflect myself, my reality on the outside. It will just adapt. So whatever is happening on the outside is just reflecting our inner state of being.
Absolutely it is, because this is just a giant reflection that's reflecting everything we are back to us. And, I didn't know that until I found Jason Bashir's work. Tom Campbell says it in a different way, but Jason Bashir's, he said, well, the law of attraction should really be called the law of reflection. And I just went, oh my goodness, there it is. Because I could see it. I could see where it was reflecting me. I was like, yep, that's mine too. And one thing that you said a minute ago about you've got to look at the inner relationship you have with yourself, because we're a powerful being, and if we're aiming negative energy at ourselves, we're hurting ourselves, and it's painful. Then we're projecting that pain out onto everybody around us and hurting them. And so what Tom said something that helped me with this issue was, you don't have to love yourself. Because I didn't like myself. I was a very, very negative person. I didn't like me, and everybody else didn't like me either. And I didn't know why. It's because I didn't like me. Well, how can they like me if I don't like me? But see, I didn't love myself. So that was too big of a jump. I couldn't go, oh, okay, I'm going to love myself now, because I didn't love myself. That's not authentic. But here's what he said. You don't have to love yourself. Just don't hate yourself. Just feel neutral. It's okay. Cheryl's made a lot of mistakes here. I've hurt people. I've done wrong things. I can't love myself right now because I don't feel good about myself, but I don't have to hate me. I am, I've done my best. I had a lot of struggles. I had a lot of challenges to get through. So I'm going to hold compassion for myself and let that be what it is. I wasn't trying to hurt people. I was just hurt myself. And so I just went there with it. I don't have to love myself, but I don't have to hate myself. I can give myself that credit for what I've been through and not feel guilt feelings because I've hurt people in the past, because guilt wasn't going to help it either. I just let the past be in the past. It's like, okay, that's just who I was. That's who I was then. But look who I am now, because I've grown. Now I can give love, and it's all better now. And I had to go through all of that to get to where I am now. So see, it's a school. It was me learning what I needed to do in my consciousness. So that can be a big step to, Caroline, that's what I learned, was that I don't have to just, oh, I love myself. That's not authentic, and I couldn't get there. So I tried that and it didn't work. I was like, yeah. And then my mind just went, yeah, right. It's not what you really think, But then I was like, well, okay, I don't have to hate myself. I can just feel neutral. I didn't love myself, but I also didn't hate myself. And when I stopped hating myself, all of that anger and everything that was aiming at me went away. And that freed up my power and my energy to finish doing the work of getting rid of my dark uglies. So then this trajectory just started going and going and going. Then the next thing I knew, I wasn't hurting people anymore. I was loving people. I was loving people through their pain. I could hold space for Caroline while she was going through this dark period of dealing with her dark uglies. And I was standing on the sidelines and I was going, get them, Caroline. It's like whack-a-mole. Just get it. Just drag it out by its legs. And look at them. They're squealing. Look at them little goobler monsters. Get them. Didn't I, Caroline?
Yes, you definitely did. And guilt was something also I was struggling with a lot. I was guilt tripping myself a lot, and I think to some extent I still am. It's quite a difficult habit to get rid of, but I did learn that love is really the most powerful tool we have. And if we have the intention to love and the intention to grow, it will accelerate and it will shine through all the darkness. It will shine through those little beasts. How do you call them?
Dark uglies. They've got eyeballs and
Dark uglies.
teeth, little dark uglies.
Exactly. So if you love, you will shine through those dark uglies and you will just shine, and people will learn to trust you again, will learn to appreciate you again, because like I said again, like you are accountable for what you did, and generally trying to get better and be better and provide value with everything you do, because that's what love is about, right? You want to provide value. And if you do that, then it doesn't matter, past, what is it? Like, it doesn't exist anyway. Where is the past? Can you touch it? Can you feel it? Can you smell it? It's not here, right? So
Nope.
that's definitely one of the biggest things I've been struggling with in my life. But as I grow more, I do realize that it's accelerating and it's getting better and better. I just have to really train this muscle of positivity, because it's like a muscle. Really keep going, don't give up. It's like going to the gym every day, right? It's maybe not in the beginning, it's super hard, and then maybe it gets easier and easier and easier. And that's the same with the fear work, right? The more you work on your fear and the more you focus on love and growth, then the more you will get of that. And by time, it's just, like, I can't look back now 1 year ago when I've been spending time with you in your home. Like, I'm not the same person anymore, right? It went so fast, right? I'm still me, I'm still Caroline, I'm still we're still best friends and it's fun, but I changed in a way that I feel much better about myself, and I'm much mature, I have more clarity, and I have a positive impact on people around me, and that's a blessing.
You have grown up so much and done the work. You got in there and you were whacking those dark uglies and getting rid of them. He's like, be gone, dark ugly. I'm not having any more of this. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to watch you grow and become the wonderful woman that I saw in you. And I knew that you were going to get there. And I just wanted to pour all the love I could on it. And that spurred me on to get rid of my dark uglies, and I want to continue to watch you grow. And, I think we can close with this and say, you know what? Fear is the problem and love is the answer. And it's so simple, but it's so true. Thank you so much for coming and talking on the front row seat. And I've always called Caroline, she is my sweet Caroline. I've called her Sweet Caroline for the last 4 years. And I want you to come visit with me on here anytime you want to. I know you're a busy working woman and you've got all these things that, this positivity you have flowing and the love you give to others is so inspirational. And I just can't wait to see what you're going to create in your life. And I love you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I love you very, very much too. And I'm so excited. We're gonna meet in next month in England, and I'm very excited to go traveling with you again and connect and learn from each other more. And after all, you're still my best friend. I love you, and I love you so, so, so much. I love the impact that you had on your family, the impact you have on your partner, even the impact you have on your dogs, right? Everything around you is just, she seems to be growing.
Everything is just growing really fast. It really is. And I can't wait to see you in England coming up. We're going to go to an event where Tom Campbell is, and Tom Campbell is going to be retiring. And so I'm going to go hug him and tell him how much I appreciate, all the help. He's helped both Caroline and I, and struggle through our dark uglies. And he would just, well, what about that over there? You going to do something about, can you see that one? But he was so kind and he just told us the truth. And that's why that's what Front Row Seat is all about. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to tell my story, and I want other people to be able to hold space so they can come tell their story too. Because you know what? We're all in this together. We all have this stuff and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm telling you, we can get past this and we can grow and move forward from it. And because it took so long, I was digging for the truth, but I couldn't get anybody to tell me the truth. So, well, Cheryl, you're just negative and I don't want to be around you. Your life is a misery. Look at it. So that's what I want this channel to be. I want it to be somewhere where people can go and get the truth. It's you. Here you are on the front row seat, celebrating life and loving. And it's all about you because you're doing it. Much love to everybody. Have a glorious day. And thank you, Caroline. Thank you for coming to the front row
You
seat.
too, Sharon. I love you.